And welcome into another episode of Tiger Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network, a Tigers podcast. I'm Kieran Steckley. With me, as always, is a man who just missed getting thrown out by Wenceel Pérez on his way home tonight. He is Cody Stavenhagen. How you doing?
Wenceel is only throwing those balls about 83 miles an hour, so I won't comment on how fast I might have been driving on the highway.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I think it was actually, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was after, we're obviously recording this Tuesday night, I think it was after his game-tying double that you tweeted out, it's 4-4, and a lot of baseball has happened. And you were correct then, but you were not as correct as you would have been later in the game because a lot of baseball did happen after that of note. I'm just going to – it's only one game. We're recording this afterward. Let's have fun and just kind of highlight some of the stuff that happened because there were several kind of key storylines-ish. The top of it is the Tigers are a 50-win team and the only, as of now, 50-win team in Major League Baseball. And they were also the first team in the American League, perhaps Major League Baseball. I saw conflicting tweets about that, to score 400 runs. So those two things, I think we would be surprised at if we predicted that in February 24th and this being June 24th. But in this game specifically, Cody, you had – I love it when we talk about something and then immediately either it gets confirmed or like something happens in the other direction. Kerry Carpenter, home run, first home run since June 2nd. Again, it's June 24th. Riley Green remains hot. 4 hits today, including a deep double. Dylan Dingler gets back on the home run parade, his third of the month with a 3-run homer that put the Tigers up for good. Wenceel Pérez, a couple assists. We'll talk about those as well. Tarek Skubal, his biggest enemy being weather delays, but still kind of is able to dial it in there. He gives up the 2 home runs early and then gets 9 in a row. Still finishes with a pedestrian 6 innings, 6 hits, the 4 runs, 8 Ks, and 1 walk. And then Javi Baez drew a walk, Cody, only his 9th of the season. And I don't know if anyone picked up on this, but I think Zach McKinstry, classic good guy type, right? Zach McKinstry might have come the closest he's ever come to starting any sort of altercation on a baseball field, because when he got hit by Severino, I felt like he kind of slowly undid the padding and bent over, and he I don't know if he was talking to Severino, but he said something in the direction of the pitcher, and like I said, did not necessarily scoot his way to first base after taking that high inside fastball. So as we began this podcast by saying, a lot of baseball, Cody, a lot of baseball on a Tuesday night in Detroit.
There was a lot. Nothing stood out to me like Wenceel Pérez, though, a guy we've also talked about recently, who is starting to get the credit, but maybe still not getting enough credit for being an X factor, for keeping this team afloat in some way. Not afloat, but like in a period where the offense is lulled a little bit and the pitching is not in a good spot. Wenceel just keeps playing really good baseball. You need someone to step up and help you maintain this commanding status in first place. Well, Wenceel Pérez has been that guy. Kieran, he has above a 1,000 OPS since he came off the IL, which is crazy. And credit to you for being the first person I heard mention this. He just looks so much more comfortable in right field. Like, it's not, obviously he had the highlight plays, but it's just the actions, the movements. Like, he looks like he knows what he's doing now, and he didn't necessarily last year. 2 outfield assists in 1 inning, both at second base from the same player. I've never seen that before. I'm still waiting on Sarah Langs or someone to put out the stat that tells me the last time that happened, because I don't even know how to look that up. But look at this play. He gets a little bit of a bad read on the Soderstrom ball, I think. But what he might not have done last year is just recover, chill, play the ball perfectly, make a great throw. It's a sign of someone, even if maybe you get a bad read, you know what you're doing out there.
And Lee will face the left-hander Soderstrom first here. And he goes after a first pitch high sweeper that's labeled to right. Perez plays the bounce very well. He's got a shot, and he is on the money. See ya!
Like, he just chilled. That ball gets over his head, and he just chilled. AJ talked about, like, he's slowing the game down, and that's exactly what that was.
Yeah, I mean, on a play like that, I think it's entirely possible to have a bad read, because you saw the route there. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the video. But he also had an amazing read and knowing the carom off the wall and exactly how it was going to go. Like, he was he was in the exact perfect spot in order to, forget if he gets the guy out, but just like the exact perfect spot to get the ball in. Like, that's like, there's a runner on first, they're probably not scoring there. You see what I'm saying? Like, with less than 2 outs. So, because he gets the ball in so quickly. Not for nothing, though. I know we're talking about Wenceel, but I want to mention that Javi on both tags kind of in a, yeah, I got you, dude. Like, just kind of like shows the runner the ball, like with his mitt open like this. I love it. I loved it each time. So yeah, I mean, that's the term, like, unbelievable or never before seen or whatever, when it's the history of baseball and 162 games and all that stuff obviously gets thrown around a lot. But no, I can't remember something like that. And it kind of overshadowed like how crucial that double was, because he had just gotten beat on high heat, and he still kind of went for the high heat. But like, if he doesn't get a base knock there or drive in both runs, like, maybe the complexion of the game is a little bit different. And maybe that's the best way to kind of describe the impact of Wenceel Pérez on this team. Is he your best hitter? No. Is he your best fielder? No. Is he your best runner? No. Is he your best pitcher? No. Is he your best catcher? No. But does he change the complexion of this team when he's in the lineup and he's doing Wenceel Pérez things? Yeah, I think he changes the complexion of the team, as you put it, kind of elevates it above a certain standard a little bit, because he just has a knack for making things happen. And we've talked about the Wenceel story, a lot, so we don't have to recap it every single time he has a great game. But it is something that just pops into my mind every single time, is that's one of the more unique storylines. That the headliners are the Torques, the Greens, the Javis, the Scoobles for this team. Those are the guys on the graphic for the MLB puts out first team to 50 wins. And then you have the Kerry Carpenter aspect, because that's an out of nowhere story. But the Wenceel is a kind of like a more immediate out of nowhere, and only like kind of Tigers fans are going to know about it, because at least Carpenter was raking for a couple of years there in the minor leagues, whereas Wenceel just kind of popped up, and you just kind of had to know he existed beforehand to even have any idea who he was when he got called up last year. And now he's, again, elevates the team and changes the complexion a little bit. It's low key one of the more fun aspects of this team, because even when breaking camp and he gets hurt, we weren't sure what kind of impact he was going to have and all that stuff. And he's surpassed even those expectations. And it's fair to say that this team is not where they're at without the contributions of Wenceel Pérez.
Someone asked Tarek Scooble, did you know Wenceel had a hose like that? And Scooble looked at the camera and he goes, I probably shouldn't say what I want to say right now.
And there's your
and I think that sums it all up.
Yeah, there's your Tiger territory after dark. We'll talk about sort of the meat of this podcast that we had planned to talk about, because again, only one game. We didn't know we were going to have this many fun storylines. But first, a word from our sponsors.
FT fam, did you know that Huel has sold over 500 million meals around the world, and now it is your turn to try it. While I drink it.
Drink up, Scott, so I can discuss Huel and how I love it. I had some for breakfast this morning. I like to drink it post-workout because of the protein included in it. It always tastes delicious, whether it's strawberry, banana, chocolate, vanilla, whatever the flavor is. It tastes like a dessert, honestly. It should not taste as good as it does.
I agree. New customers get 15% off plus a free gift at Huel.com when you use the FT code. That is FOUL, F-O-U-L, at Huel.com/FOUL. Don't miss out. Try Huel today for a perfectly balanced meal. If you miss a meal, if you're looking for a little protein boost. You just saw me drinking the Black Edition, ready to drink. There's the vanilla flavor. I love what the chocolate brings to the table. It's really damn good. So give it a shot, FT fam. 15% off plus a free gift for new customers with the code FOUL.
All right, coming back here, we've been doing these all-star series all month, Cody, midweek podcasts, and we got on Monday an update into the voting, and we'll first kind of lay out where some of the Tigers are, and then we'll talk about kind of the main guy, which is the one that we've been putting off for a little bit, and maybe the third most obvious all-star in this team, but Spencer Torkelson looks like he's not gonna, get there at first base. He is in fourth. Let's see, shortstop Trey Sweeney in fifth. That's a rising tide lifts all boats right there. Zach McKinstry third at third base, which I don't want to dismiss, but because it is impressive. But yeah, he's third, and then Riley Green second. You mentioned he had the 4 hits today after a hot weekend. And then Javi Baez third amongst outfielders. People heard our call and said he deserves it over Mike Trout. But and we have on the graphic on the screen too, Colt Keith fourth among designated hitters, which sort of the theme of maybe what makes this Tigers team so fun is that you have these like slots that you have to do all-star voting. And it's like, well, is Colt Keith like really a DH? I mean, he's obviously more than a DH. He plays all around the field, all around the infield. Is Zach McKinstry like really a third baseman? And he plays there a lot, but he can obviously play other positions. And then Javi Baez is going to be presumably, right, good chance here, a outfield starter, but he's more of a shortstop right now. So that's the Scott Harris, AJ.
All-star voting was not built to handle hitting chaos.
There you go. So really impressive all around from the Tigers. But one that we've just kind of overlook's not the right expression, because we had planned to do this earlier, actually last week, but then Javi had 2 home runs, so we had to pivot. But Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres was a kind of like, oh, okay, signing, interesting, the Yankee stuff. We recapped all that, but he is having himself, Cody, one hell of a season, even if you were optimistic about the signing at the time. So he leads second baseman in voting by a good margin. Our boy Jackson Holliday, number 2, Jose Altuve, another kind of one of those. What position is he really? A distant third there as well. Here's what Gleyber has been doing. This is entering the week, so had a little bit of a change, but he, among American League first basemen, he is first in average, he is first in on base, he is second in slugging, and he is first in OPS. He has a 129 OPS plus and a 133 WRC plus. You see the graphics right up there for Gleyber Torres.
Is just for games at second base, so it doesn't count games he's DH. That's why the numbers are slightly off, but he's lapping pretty much American League second baseman in most everything. Although Daniel Schneemann, shout out! I didn't realize his numbers were quite this good in quite a few fewer plate appearances than Gleyber. But Gleyber's going to start the All-Star game, Kieran, which is, I think you brought this up. Like, it's validation for him, right, for coming here, and it's validation, I think, for Scott Harris for signing Gleyber instead of a first baseman. The guy I wanted, Christian Walker, dodged a bullet there. Paul Goldschmidt actually has been kind of killing it, but no one was counting on the Torkelson resurrection the way we've seen it. Gleyber's ended up being quite the good move, and just talking about the on-base percentage, which is the thing I liked about him most, it's above 380. Like, the guy is just so steady. We've talked before about the leadership presence, the things he's doing in the hitters meetings, but the Tigers have not had a player in my time covering them, I don't think, who gives this level of consistent quality at bats and is able to get on base. Like you talk about, like the ones that they like changing the complexion of the lineup, having a guy who's written in at leadoff or the 2 spot, who you just know is probably going to get on base at least once that night, is kind of a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, he is he's as steady as he is remarkable. Like, today he didn't do anything special, but he was 2 for 5. So that batting average went up. You know what I mean? And that's essentially what you get every day, like you said, with the at-bats. And one of the things I wanted to point out, like if you just go and look at, American League second baseman, you look at various like the hitting numbers or the hitting advanced metrics, and he's obviously up there as we described. But if you just look at base on balls among American League second basemen, he's first, 40. Number 2 is Marcus Semien. Number 3 is Christian Campbell. Semien, although he did have a little bit of a stretch where he was getting better, is obviously not playing like Marcus Semien that we know and love. And then Campbell just got demoted to AAA. So it's like, so the patient some of the patient aspects of being at the plate, he is above guys that aren't actually hitting too. See what I'm saying? So like that's an idea of the complete profile that Gleyber gives. And, the defense metrics aren't going to obviously impress you. He is a below average defender. But I will say, I don't think it's a lack of feel. I don't think it's a lack of I don't think it's like a lack of baseball IQ, which was one of the things I think we were concerned about, or I definitely know Yankees fans were.
I was, and I had seen it, and I knew the reputation among Yankees fans, and I saw it in the World Series. Gleyber is a far less frustrating player than I thought he was going to be.
Yes.
At least in Detroit, he has been consistent and steady, and he's been in some ways a good base runner. I'm not sure exactly what the metrics say right now, but I think he's running the bases better than he did with the Yankees. And he's talked about how like the culture here has made him a better or more aggressive base runner. He's been over aggressive a couple times, but small things. The fielding is what it is, but yeah, it's not like he's making mental mistakes. It's not like he's reckless on the base paths or in the field ever. Like, he is steady. He is in control. He is a guy you can have a high trust level.
How many guys don't play to their ability? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like Gleyber,
that's a great way to put it.
Gleyber in every single aspect of the game, all the 5 tools, plays to his ability. And if you, in a weird way, if you could get 26 of those guys, you probably get to 50 wins a little bit sooner than the Tigers did. You know what I mean? Like, everybody plays to their ability. You know exactly what you're getting from Gleyber. Like we said, and the one thing that is that you can't quantify is, okay, so 400 runs, 50 wins. This Tigers team is surpassed all expectations, regarded as the number 1 team or one of the number 1 teams in Major League Baseball, with a lot of the same guys from last season. Basically all the same except for Gleyber in the starting lineup, and you can attribute that to basically 2 things, and they're both true, but it's like you just have to either say it's maturation of the young players, which I think we've seen, and it's Gleyber. Why are the Tigers all of a sudden one of the best run scoring teams in baseball after slogging through many of the past several years? Well, it's maturation and it's Gleyber, and I think those 2 things. I don't think those are independent clauses, Cody. I think those things are I think they're related, because I mean, you hear about his talk clubhouse impact and BP impact and all that stuff, and it's hard from the outside to kind of see that. But like, if Gleyber is in the batting cage, he's one of I don't know, 2-3 guys on this team that every single pair of eyeballs ought to be looking at, because there's obviously something that he's doing right that everyone ought to take from him. And does this have the impact on Javi? Does this have the impact on Green? All this stuff. Not necessarily. No, it sounds good to say, but at the same time, there's not a huge list of reasons why to bring it back to the original point. There's not a huge list of reasons why this team is done so well offensively, other than maturation and Gleyber Torres, and you can't tell me they're not related in some way.
For sure. Gleyber Torres is going to start the All-Star game. How many other Tigers are going to be starters? Riley Green looking like it right now. Javi Baez right there looking like it. So those guys, you could have a couple other guys sneak on the roster. I think the question we'll talk about probably a whole other episode, like, will Skubal start the All-Star game? I think everyone in Detroit here probably thinks he should, right? If they sneak in like Max Fried or Garrett Crochet, I think people in Detroit should be pretty pissed.
Well, Crochet, to his credit, did have a nice outing tonight and on the West Coast. But yeah, I mean, there's it's funny. I mentioned that Hank Greenberg book that I read recently a couple times. Back in the day, it was the All-Star game was basically just the previous season's recognition. It's not that as much now, but obviously reputations and all that stuff play a part. I think it would look odd to not have Skubal start the All-Star game as the reigning Cy Young, as the Cy Young favorite. That would be I don't want to say baseball malpractice, but I'm not gonna say it wouldn't be. So that would be that would be my case there. And then, you know what? Why don't we give a little bit more love to Zach McKinstry?
Yeah.
And here in a second, Cody. But first, a word from our sponsors.
By now, you know about Arena Club. Buy, sell, trade, open up slab packs to get a card that you don't think you could get usually, but the Grails will tell you that, for example, there's an Aaron Judge rookie card in this week's slab packs, so make sure you check those out.
No doubt. Those are what you want, the Grails.
Mhm.
Aaron Judge Grail is awesome, graded, traded if you want, tell you how much it's worth, whatever you want to do. And I'm a big Michael Jordan fan with my 23 shirt on. There's a Michael Jordan Grail in there that I'm looking forward to try to get.
20% off your first slab pack or card purchase at arenaclub.com/foul. Use code FOUL.
All right, Cody. The Tigers have 3 position players with at least a 2.0 WAR as of now, June 24th, heading into June 25th. So Riley Green makes sense. Javi Baez, okay, and Zach McKinstry with with a 2.0 WAR. He is your third baseman this year. Obviously, he probably thanks to Javi, he's not playing hardly any shortstop. Really, that we figured that was going to be part of his profile. I mentioned him kind of in jest about like maybe he could have started an altercation today, but like he has not had like the hot. He kind of got robbed of an RBI today by an official score, but he has not had like the hot streak. But he's actually been as steady as anybody in this lineup, and I don't think we're talking about him enough.
No, you're right. I mean, he got off to a pretty hot start, right? And then he cooled way off. May, he hit 200. It was kind of like, all right, we're back to earth with Zach McKinstry. We've come to appreciate him for what he is. But, well, in June, he's hitting 288. He has an 803 OPS. He's returned to being really good. So we've had 3 months this season, 2/3 of the season, Zach McKinstry has been playing at a near all-star level. Like, it's become for real. And I mean, we've talked before about like all the little things he does, all the things you like. The part of me that before the season was kind of ready, think maybe the Tigers have outgrown the need for a McKinstry-esque player on their roster, has been, I don't even want to say it's proven wrong. I just think Zach McKinstry has grown his game across the board. We've talked about he's hitting lefties way better. He barely played against left-handers last year. Now he's in there almost every time, and he's holding his own. He's hitting for average. He's hitting for some extra base power, only 4 home runs, but he has 7 triples, Kieran. Like, and he of course plays all over the field. He could be a candidate for the utility gold glove. I think Javi Baez might win that one this year, unless something changes in the second half. But yeah, like, again, anytime you want to write off Zach McKinstry, he finds a way to just keep producing. So after a cool May, he's come right back in June, and he's been productive for the Tigers.
Yeah, whenever guys like this have surprising or exceed like what my expectations were, I always try to do a little bit of a self-evaluation and kind of see like how can I take this and learn from it as I think about the game, as I talk about the game, and the Perez thing I mentioned, and it applies to McKinstry as well, then to Baez, all these like surprising stories. It's like Torres. It's like, I don't know, man. Maybe just like don't overlook someone just being a ball player. That's not like it's not really analytical. It's not like kind of it's not going to like make great headlines on podcasts or news articles. But if a guy just does all these things, he's going to be able to find an impact. And sometimes you're always looking to, the grass is not always greener type deal for some of these. What you anticipate is sort of the back end of the roster dudes. And like, there is obviously a reason that the Tigers brought him back at the number that they brought him back. 'Cause even then we were like, so don't overlook just guys that bring some semblance of value to the team in various facets. And especially if the Tigers have a system that they believe in, which obviously they do, like these things tend to like go in their favor. Like that's like the McKinstry lesson, the Perez lesson, to a certain extent, the Torres lesson, the Baez lesson, in addition to probably just being healthy. Those are the things that stand out to me. And I did want to kind of circle back to Carey for a second, because it had to feel good for Carey to get off the home run schneid. He set up by Colt Keith getting on base there as well. In a way, I think it's a good thing for the Tigers that they can kind of ride, and it's not just Carey, but like ride these various ebbs and flows. And like when Carey is not producing power, which he was not really this month, like give her, take away one game, basically he has no power in the month of June. And
this is his first homer since the 3-homer game on June 2nd.
Yes. So like if you can ride that out and still be able to have, get out for your kind of offensive schneid a little bit, which again, there was a time they're barely getting 4 runs a game, and maintain a winning style. Like Carey's going to get hot. So like it might be when Riley has a cool July or something like that, and then Carey goes off. You know what I mean? Like this is a very supportive team, the way it's structured, and the way that AJ utilized these guys, different lineup spots, different utilizations. Riley with a hit off a lefty today, shout out. So yeah, I think that's actually kind of a good thing in a way. Like you want Carey to produce a little bit more than he has, but at the same time, if you're still winning and you're confident in Carey, the hitter, like it's going to turn around, and then July 24th, we're going to talk about Carey possibly being like, American League Player of the Month or something. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, wouldn't rule it out. It's one of those sports cliches. You hear guys who are like, any night it could be a different guy. And you hear that in baseball and you hear that in basketball. But it's pretty true with this Tigers team. And that's one of the cliches I believe, because I've watched it for several months now, where it feels like it can be a different guy at any given time. And it is baseball, so you're going to have the ebbs and flows. That's where the thing that amazes me is we know Riley Green is really good, and we know Kerry Carpenter is really good, and we know what Spencer Torkelson can do. But it's the McKinstrys, it's the Wenceel Pérez, it's the Javi Baez, Dylan Dingler, the unexpected guys who have stepped up and contributed in very big ways. That is impressive to me, that I think is kind of the backbone of the team and the reason they've been the best team in baseball so far in this first half.
Yeah. And, sometimes that cliche stuff, sometimes the things you just described can be boring. Gleyber, veteran leadership. Okay, whatever. Every team has veteran leadership, but it's actually exciting. Like they've kind of made the cliche overused things exciting this year. And that's as much a reason as they have 50 wins as anything. So we're basically at the halfway point, and the Tigers, no signs of slowing down, man, except for the weather, apparently. But we don't talk about weather on this podcast.
They need some more pitching.
Yeah, well,
that's what July is for. We're going to talk about that all July.
yeah,
Do you want to talk about Tarek Skubal's legacy, Kieran? Do you want to talk about?
I was going to say who has more on the line in 2025 for legacy, Skubal or Dak Prescott. We'll talk about that in another podcast.
Yeah.
You can follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Cody Stavenhagen. I'm at Kieran_Steckley, pod page at Tiger Territory _ YouTube, Instagram, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You guys know what to do. 5 stars if you feel so inclined. We appreciate all of you. So for Cody Stavenhagen, I'm Kieran Steckley. Everybody have a great day.